Dave's Vault, my fellow gamers. Here we are. I've laid out my whole Undead army. This is a 6x4 table. Actually, it's a little bit bigger. Just the green mat here is 6x4. So this takes up half a mat. Yeah, I can't even field all this at one time. So the other half, well, it's not even really that much. I mean, that's way more, but yeah, it's all taken up by cemetery. Anyway, this is my Kings of War Undead forces. Everything here is a Mantic model. The only non-Mantic models I have here is this little squad of guys here. I'll explain them real quick. I don't like the Gorblight model that Mantic has. The sculpt is terrible, in my opinion, because I don't like super gory stuff and that thing's like dripping, oozing, and everything. So what I have is the Gorblight gives me an opportunity to put a Frankenstein in my list, which I've always wanted to do. When I played Undead with Games Workshop Fantasy, they never had one. They had one for Blood Bowl, the Frankensteiner, but that was the only one that they made, and it was a super tiny, normal 25 mil model. This is from Etsy, big old monster base. It's just, you know, exposed brain and all that, all these tubes and things, and the stitches are wonderful. The detail on this sculpt is amazing. I forget what he's called. He's not a flesh golem. That's what you get mostly when you look up for Frankenstein looking models, is flesh golem. But that's not what he's called. If I find out again what he's called, look back at my purchase list on Etsy, then I'll let you guys know. So here we have a Reaper, headless horseman, a Hessian, and he's all metal. I love him. He's going to be like a vampire on horseback or whatnot. Really like that model. I have a little dwarf here. He would just be a skeletal champion. I really like the model. He looks so happy. I don't remember what line he is. Here, this is a very hard to get model. This is a Mordenheim witch from the GW line, and she was hard to get back in the day when she was on the shelves. Actually, she flew off the shelves. This is the second one I've owned. The first one I owned, I gave to a buddy of mine. He was starting GW Undead, and I had given up on GW, so I just gave him her. But that was my fault because I wound up spending way too much on that lady. Here's another Etsy purchase, the Pumpkin Knight. I just really like the look of this model. I did a really cheesy, quick and easy paint job on him. He was actually the last one I painted for this army so far. Here's another Reaper model. This is a Grave Golem. He's pretty cool. He's all metal, very, very heavy miniature here. I really enjoy rock monsters. That's why I have a dwarf army for Kings of War as well. Lots of rock monsters. And this is my newest purchase to the army. So the Gorblight model could be either Frankenstein, this guy, or this big, like, cemetery, walking chunk of cemetery. I really love him. He's got a wonderful cross and angel up there, and just, you know, all the bones and bits, and his little sarcophagus being held as another arm, I suppose. But yeah, I had to really paint him up quickly. I love the model, just a chunk of the cemetery walking around. It's absolutely wonderful. But they do have like little positions, like the witch could be a necromancer or whatnot, but I just really enjoy those models. Now, everything else is all 100% Mantic. One of them may appear like it's not Mantic, but it is Mantic, and I'll show you here in a little bit. Let's go through cavalry, 3 regiments of Revenant Cav. This last one didn't have bases with it because it came in a crazy box. Back here, all this, it's 2 hordes and a regiment of Revenant infantry. Back here, I do have the 3 set of the catapults. The balefires here, They're on bigger bases. I made them. I wanted them to be pretty with grass and pumpkins and all kinds of decorative bits. I'm not a tournament guy. I don't want to do tournaments. I like to have things look nice and be pretty, because these things spend their lives in glass cases and whatnot. So that's what I want. If I want to do tournaments, they'd be on the minimal size base, and that would be it. Here I have my second hand vampire on dragon. She actually has that nice big old meat cleaver hammer thing, and I gave her the skeleton empty hood head portion from the plastic sprues. I just really like that. And on this one, on the base, I just put a simple old GW tombstone. Nothing else on this base, unless it's in the back. No, nothing on the back. You have to pump up these bases for when things go to rank up with them. You don't want the heads to hit them. Next here, I have 2 hordes of the spearmen skeletons. Behind them, I have my one and only horde of zombie trolls. I would like to get another horde of those guys, but they're fairly expensive. It's almost 100. It's $70, I think, if you can get them at $35 per 3. $70 for that. It's fairly expensive, but thus is the life of a gamer, I suppose. Here, I have the army standard bearer mounted, and I also have the doggo guy. He's just like a filler piece, a little characterful piece there. I like him. He's neat. I have a painted one over here. So what I did, I have a mirror match. So I've got an unpainted army standard and then the painted doggo handler right there. Really cool piece. I like him. And up front, I have 2 regiments of the vampire cavalry, the Reaver cavalry. Of course, 2 different types of primers were used. Up front here, I've got these little pieces. I use these as the giant rat models to designate, which units do have a giant rat in the army. And they come in the skeleton sprues. Since some of my army was secondhand, I only have a few of these models. I'd like to get more of them. Very, very easy and quick to paint up. Here on the side here, I've got 3 Pharaoh type models. We can bring them in the normal undead list. I know that they're for the other guys, but this guy here is not primed because I'm going to craft for him out of plastic card the wings of Honey Maze. So he's kind of WYSIWYG. Behind here, I'll get to these characters very last, but here I've got 3 of the whites, 3 hordes of the whites. I purchased one on my own, and then those 2 came in a bundle deal that I got. Right here, front and center, 3 hordes of zombies. Really cool models. I enjoy them. They're easy to paint, and I should have more of them done. Let's move over here. We're gonna go up here. We've got 2 hordes of werewolves, and then 3 Lycanuses in the back. When you buy collections and stuff, you get extras. I would have been happy with just the one, but I bought a sprue, or not sprue, but a blister collection, and one was in there, and then that guy was in another secondhand collection I had purchased from somebody. And then I have 2 troops of wraiths, but I can do them in a regiment, I guess. It would be a waste. You just run them as a troop. Right up here, I have 2 hordes of sword and board skeletons. Some of them do have spears, but that's what happens when you buy things. Some things secondhand, but everything's clean to mold lines. Everything here is clean to mold lines. I'm very proud of that. Back here, I've got a horde of ghouls, and then a little troop of ghouls. All right, I have a, straight out of the box vampire on winged worm. That is exactly how you're supposed to build it. I got that brand new. Here is my second hand. it's a Lich, or my fault, a Revenant King on the Worm, and he's secondhand. I made that really sweet sword of his out of plastic card, and I think I'm going to paint him next. Then I have the Bog Standard out of the box. This is how you make them with that itty bitty sword. That's easy to break. So he's the brand new one I got straight out of the box. Back here, man, I hate these guys. These are the mummies that Mantic makes. I despise these things. They got goofy butter knife swords. Their capes are all in the way. They're very, very difficult to mount and have rank up. This is just a troop. It came in one of the army boxes. I don't know if it was the mega army deal or the regular army deal, but I got them. I put them together thinking that they would rank up okay, I guess, if I put them at the 45-degree tilt. That's not the case. So I despise these guys. I want to try to keep as much of my army as Mantic as possible. However, these things, that's going to be it. I'm not going to put mummies in my army unless they make better mummies. Their mummies suck. Sorry, they just do. Here, 2 vampires on Undead Pegasus. They're really cool models. They're all metal. I do enjoy them. I think that they're pretty expensive for what they are. I think it's like $30 each. And it hurts. You know, they have the mobility on the battlefield and they're vampires, so they're pretty brutal, but my goodness, it's $60 right there. Anyway, here I've got 2 regiments of the Reaver infantry. A lot of people like these guys, and they did get a nerf with the Clash of Clans, was it 2024 book that came out? But yeah, whatever. They're still good. They're still solid infantry. Very expensive. And here, you know, I told you I got those guys. Okay, let's go over my characters now. I'll go here. So there's Lady Iona with her sword. And everybody's seen her. She came in a box set. Jarvis, I believe. When you take him, he makes the whole army good. So you can't bring Homeboy here, but you know, you could bring, if you wanted to ally in some Elohai, you could bring Elohai. This is a model I don't know if too many people know about. This is Undead, like zombie Blaine. And he's really cool. I love the sculpt. He's got, you know, the terrible wounds, and I chose to do a pumpkin skin on him with the blank white eyes. I just like that. Yeah, he's just a really cool Blaine. I think he's my favorite Blaine. There's also a Blaine riding on a velociraptor kind of a thing, a dinosaur, and I'll probably paint him up and use him in this army as a mounted vampire as well, because he is a Kings of War Mantic miniature. I have 2 bog standard necromancers, you know, the metal ones, and I didn't like the heads. I mean, Skullhead's fine and dandy and whatnot, but I wanted to be a little bit different. So here, this pumpkin head came off of, if you guys can see, it came off the old Games Workshop Familiar Scarecrow. There's a little bitty model that came out. Familiars came with sorcerers back in the day, and then they also would come in their own blister pack of 4. And I love this little scarecrow guy. So when I would take a trip up to Glen Burnie in Maryland, at the battle bunker there, I would buy, you know, a fistful of those things and some other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I really like putting that head on him. Here is Morgoth the Faceless. I still want to track down the one that comes with the big circular metal piece that he stands on. I have another one of him in blister pack. Not like I ever use it, but if I can track down that circular metal piece that he stands on, I would be very happy. I'd make him a little decorative diorama type base. And here, I love this empty hood. So I stuck the empty hood plastic bit from the skeleton sprue on top of this necromancer, just to make him a little bit spookier. Here's the model. Much like the zombie Blaine, this is a model from Mantic, and it is, I want to say it's a siren. it's holding an eye. Okay. And this is a Mantic model. I found it randomly on eBay. I gave her a pumpkin orange potion. But yeah, so I'm using it as a necromancer slash witch or whatever. But yeah, I don't know too much about it, but it's a decent model. Pretty cool. Then I did have, before you could buy them, these Lich Kings were Mantic points only, like 25 Mantic points. Kind of nuts. But, you know, I wanted to have them in the army. These guys are disgusting. Their rules are disgusting. So I really like the model. I don't think they really go on a big base like this for rules wise. I think that they could be on a smaller base, but I do like him, and I would probably run him as is. This guy, he is a Revenant king on foot, and you know, I scraped off he had this terrible shield that had like stretched skin and whatnot. I didn't want that, so I, you know, filed that down. And I don't like the other models that come in his 4-pack. He had, it's a really crazy, there's a standard bearer, there's 2 necromancers in there as well, I think, and they just look bad. And then you have a Ghoulghast here. That's an all metal model. Pretty nasty dude too. So that is, man, let's pan out here. That is my Undead army for Kings of War. You know, there's very little that I want to add to this. You know, if they make different mummy models back there, I would get those possibly. And then I'd like to get another horde of the zombie trolls. I think they're very popular nowadays, but I think what I would do is, for me, it's just having symmetry, you know, have a zombie, you know, troll unit there, have one over here. You know, I buy things mostly kind of in twos, you know, see, 2 and 2, 2, you know, 2 of those and 2 of the dragons. So that's kind of, it's my thing, because, you know, on the mat, you're going to have the 2 flanks, and, you know, you shove things down. I like to mirror things, because when you have backups, it really helps. It helps your battle plan. The only reason why I have a 3rd Revenant Cav is because, you know, one came in a crazy box. One whole unit came in a crazy box. These things are like $50 almost now. Pardon me. You know, these guys, of course, buying some collections of other people, you get odd things. That's why I've got another regiment back there. But yeah, it's pretty, I'm happy with it. It's a pretty big army. And it was quite enjoyable. Okay, so right now we're at the midpoint of October. And already for October, because it's what I do to myself, I want to paint Undead models. And now that I found that I've got a, you know, group of players for Kings of War, I might have to do this more frequently, but I was only painting models during October for my Undead army. It's just a thing for me. So for this month already, I've painted that big old cemetery monster and my little pumpkin knight. And I painted this regiment of ghouls, or not ghouls, my fault, zombies. I painted them up, they were quite enjoyable. And I painted up this sword and board skeleton unit, the regiment. So they were quite enjoyable. So I've already done, 42 models. The first one's pretty daggone big. So I've painted 42. That's not bad for me normally for an October. But we're only halfway through. What I'm thinking is I'm going to go ahead and finish this guy, because the patches of red I've done on him for his internals were done last October. They were actually done on Halloween itself. Ooh, it looks like I tried to do a little skin deal, which, yeah, I'll clean that up. But yeah, I think I'm gonna paint him. I might do some werewolf action with another Lycanus or whatnot. But yeah, so uh, you guys, if somebody watches this, because I'm doing this mostly for myself, but if somebody watches this and they would like to see something painted from here, then let me know. It's a mess of models, and I'm gonna be painting them for quite a while. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful Halloween. Get out there and vote, please. God bless you guys. Bye bye.